this first episode has set the levels of gore very high and violence. Like they're not pulling any punches, so to speak, of
Right.
we're going to show you exactly what happens to these people. We're going to show you how bad these people are.
End of the year 2024, and things are as nerdy as ever. Welcome everybody to Nerdy and Nice. It is our final episode of the year, and we want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm John, that's Lacey, and we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Yep, we're going to talk about Christopher Nolan. We're going to talk about more of DC rumors, Batman specifically. A lot of cool stuff we're going to get into, and at the end of the show, we're going to give our review of the first episode of Squid Game Season 2. So a lot coming from that end of the aisle. But first, Lacey, how are we doing? How was Christmas? And happy preemptive New Year to you.
Oh, thank you. Christmas was good. It was a lot of running around, wrapping presents, setting stuff up. I had an adorable moment with Daisy where she had written to Santa and she wanted 5 things. She wanted a donut toy, a cupcake toy, a frozen toy, a snow toy to like play in the snow, and she wanted paper towels. Don't know why. Didn't prompt it. Nothing. She just said, I want paper towels.
To clean up the snow?
No, she just said she wanted paper towels. So I wrapped paper towels and I put them under the tree because that's what she wanted. She was the most excited I have ever seen her about these. She opened it and she went, oh, paper towels. And she hugged. I recorded the whole thing. I have the video. I'll send it to you. It is absolutely hilarious. And she's so excited. And she runs over to Matt and she just goes, can you put this in the kitchen for me? And he's just like, sure, of course I can. She was like, thank you so much.
Do you say that? Is she emulating you?
I have no idea. But then the other funny thing she was doing is she started randomly singing, again, unprompted, just her, because she's a funny, weird little girl, which I love. She was singing, you know, the song like, oh, Christmas tree, tree. She goes, how lovely are your blah. And she thinks she's so funny. She's been doing it for like 3 days now.
Excellent.
Because she's gotten the laugh. So now she's like, oh, I'm in. I got the laugh.
So paper towel was the big present.
It was the most excited she was about anything. It was insane, but it was one of those lovely memories I know I'm going to remember for like the rest of my life, that this sweet little girl was just like, paper towels.
Oh yeah, when she's 18 and home from college, you can wrap paper towels and like give it to her and like pretend that that's her gift. Yeah.
It was really, really funny. I'll have to send you the video. It's actually the only real video I took on Christmas because I wanted to genuinely see what she would react with these paper towels. But other than that, it's just been really nice. I can't believe this is the last episode of 2024. This year has been very fast, very slow at moments, very fast, crazy. This podcast has brought so much fun and joy into my life. So thank you to everybody that's supported us and listened to us. This is different, obviously, than what we usually do, which is Star Wars, but it's been so fun to talk about other things because we both have a lot of interests. And sometimes we always get that question on Patreon and other times we interact with listeners is like, what else do you guys like? And this is the podcast that answers that question. So thank you guys so much for letting us do this and supporting us, sharing, listening, subscribing, etc. And to add what John said for the end, we're talking about Squid Game, we're also introducing our first contest. So stick around to find out how what you could win.
Yes. And
how was your Christmas?
That, I was good. Yeah, the kids, Santa has decided that my kids were both on the nice list. So nerdy and nice, which is great.
Nice.
But, yeah, so we got crazy. We got Daisy a TV. So
I'm sorry, what?
Daisy has a TV. We got her TV.
Why?
She has a TV in her room because Johnny has a TV in his room. So,
why?
Well, because instead of, iPads and whatever, we feel like if she is going to bed and she can lay in her bed and watch like one of her shows with a sleep timer, then, so be it. And it worked for Johnny. Like we started with him with like watching like Bob Ross painting and he would fall asleep to Bob Ross, which is like the most peaceful thing in the world.
That's actually adorable.
Yeah. So that's the move there. Johnny got a guitar, like a real electric guitar. So he's gonna start learning how to play
Wow.
that.
You guys went
Uh,
for it this year. I'm here talking about paper towels, and you guys are giving out TVs and electric guitars.
there might be a Nintendo Switch that got involved in as well. So
Wow.
yeah, it was no, it was a good Christmas though. Went to my mom's for Christmas Eve, and then we went out to dinner with Kathleen's siblings and their kids. But yeah, it was a good, nice, holiday, nice break. Still a few days left for
Did you get any
going back to
cookies for
work.
Christmas?
I can't think of any off the top of my head. But
Yes.
the cookies you want everyone to know that you gave me? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
very proud, guys. And like one day I made, no joke, like 10 types of cookies.
They were good cookies.
Thank you.
They were good. They were shared as well.
Mm.
We'll be rolling down the stairs to go podcast. Jeez.
My favorite was that night you were having issues with your house and you were just like, I'm stressed out. I had a cookie. And then you're like, I'm now fixed said problem, but I also had a cookie to celebrate it.
Yeah, there was a comfort cookie for sure. We lost heat. I had to postpone my other podcast recording. We had to have a guy out the day before Christmas Eve at 10:30 at night up in my attic. And they got to
Merry
come out and
Christmas.
replace one of the parts in a couple of weeks. So that's my Christmas gift, a working furnace. But no, I got some nice things too. And then you and I got each other gifts. You got me those cool ornaments. You got us that Harry Potter game, which we haven't tried playing yet, but we're gonna try as a family. It's like a Pictionary game.
You had said you were rewatching Harry Potter, so I figured it'd be
Yeah.
something fun together. That potato game I got you, Daisy's
Oh,
obsessed with. She loves it.
that's been played, but like Johnny, I think knows how to time it now. So he tries
Oh,
to
does he peg it?
he tries to hang on to it last second and then chuck it. You know. But to be fair, I did that to him too. So 'cause I'm very competitive.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but all right. So good Christmases. We're all doing all right. Hope everyone else is doing great. And yeah, I'll echo what Lacey said. This is our 32nd episode of Nerdy and Nice. We launched this podcast in May, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So basically an episode a week, not many breaks. And here we go, full steam into 2025. We're gonna start having probably some guests. We, as Lacey said, launching our first giveaway contest at the end of the show. And a lot of exciting things coming from this podcast. So if you've come over from TRB, you didn't really come over. It's us still. You're listening to our other podcast. Thank you. And if you just found us, however you found us, thank you so much. Nerdy and Nice on your favorite podcast app or on the TRB YouTube channel. All right, Lacey, to warm things up here, obviously Sonic is crushing it, so they're making a Sonic 4. No shocker there. But one thing that is probably surprising is that there appears to finally be, almost 40 years later, a Labyrinth sequel. I haven't seen Labyrinth. I know people are throwing tomatoes at me or whatever, but
It's just me. I'm the person throwing tomatoes.
but you caught up on some news about who is going to be doing this. So what's going on with this Labyrinth sequel that's all of a sudden happening? Clearly without David Bowie, of course. Rest in peace.
Yeah, so there have been hints about this sequel over the years that it was happening, rumbling. Where's it going from here? The past week, Jeff Snyder has said that he heard from his sources, our favorite word all of the time, sources, is that Robert Eggers will reportedly direct a new Labyrinth movie. And this is, for those of you that don't know, the director writer of the current kind of big talkative hit online that came out on Christmas Day, Nosferatu, which is the Count Orlok vampire movie with Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult. who's also in Superman next year. We've talked about him lately. It's doing very well at the box office. And more than that, it's one of those movies that is a classic film that's been redone. And it's very dark. It's a very crazy horror film, and people are loving it. So he's known for a lot of different films from The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman. I'm gonna admit I haven't seen any of those. I also haven't seen Nosferatu yet. I don't know if I will. I've heard it's pretty gory and crazy. But I do love The Labyrinth. It is one of my favorite movies of all time, easily in my top 5, 10, whatever. It had such a big impact on me in childhood. I love that it's done by Jim Henson and George Lucas. Like it's a big deal to me. So, hearing that he was the one that's kind of directing and supposedly writing is a little weird to me based on what he's done in the past. I don't see it yet, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that it won't be a good choice because he makes such beautiful choices in his horror movies, like cinematically, direction wise, that it could work. So the fact that Jim Henson's company is involved and they're fully involved with what happens next, I'm interested to see where it goes and if Jennifer Connelly's coming back for it because she was Sarah in the original film. Like you said, John, unfortunately, David Bowie's not here any longer, so he's Jared, the Goblin King in the first one. But I think if anything we take away from the story is that John has to do a watch along with me in 2025 of Labyrinth because I would thoroughly enjoy the experience of watching that movie with you.
Let's dance.
Yeah, I have it in Steelbook, so
put on your red shoes and dance.
But other than that, I think I'm ready to get into the other big stories this week. Are you ready?
What is happening?
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Enough, I get the point.
So the other probably biggest story this week is that Christopher Nolan officially announced his next big film. After Oppenheimer, everyone was like, what does it mean? Who's involved? What's going on? And he is doing The Odyssey. Now, The Odyssey is that book that seemingly everybody read in high school. And I'm not saying it's not important, but I could tell you right now, I don't know a lot from it. I remember being like, having forced to like break down passages from Odyssey in English class and being like, oh my God, there's nothing else we could read. So
really?
yeah. So I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but that being said, people are really, really hyped on this. And so far, the cast confirmed include Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, and Charlize Theron. So stacked cast. And he also has a huge budget. They said it's going to be his biggest budget yet. So John, do you like The Odyssey? I know you like Christopher Nolan. Do you like The Odyssey, and are you hyped that this is his next choice?
I often forget what happens, whether it's the Iliad or the Odyssey. But I'm just trying to refresh my memory on it. So it's post-Trojan War. I mean, I remember watching a lot of this stuff back in the day because my dad liked it, and I remember having to read a lot of it too. And like you remember bits and pieces about what some of the ancient Greek mythological characters like powers or abilities or strengths and weaknesses were. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm some expert on it. And
is this the one with the sirens where he's on a ship and you
that's
hear
what
sirens?
I was thinking. Yeah. So I think it is. So it says after the Trojan War, Odysseus is stranded on the island of Calypso, a nymph who holds him captive for several years. He eventually escapes with the help of the god Hermes and sets sail for home, facing many challenges like the Cyclops, the Lotus Eaters, Circe, and the Sirens. Yeah. So I do remember this.
I remember one thing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I love Christopher Nolan. You know, he rarely has misses if he ever does. So there's a lot of opportunity for the story to be told well. I know there's been a lot of different iterations of this. You know, whether it's I think there was a mid to late 90s miniseries. It was the last attempt at it. There may have been others. And then there's like Clash of the Titans, which tells a lot of these stories too. And I don't think any of those were very good. Like I remember the original Clash of the Titans being bad, and I don't think the one that with Sam Worthington they did like after Avatar, I don't think that was well received either.
Is that the one with the Kraken? Big sea
I
monster?
don't know. It's about Perseus. But anyway, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm an expert on Greek mythology, because then people are going to try to just correct the hell out of me. But I do think, yeah, Clash of the Titans involves the Kraken created by Hades. But needless to say, it's Christopher Nolan, so it's going to be really good. I'm curious because he likes to do so much practical effects. I'm curious how he's going to take a fantastical thing like this. Like he's done science and obviously space travel and a lot of crazy stuff. He did Batman, of course, but this has to be his most just completely fantastical adventure. Like most of the stuff he's done had very real human elements to it. So this is going to be interesting. It's I'd say a little bit outside of his box, but you could say Christopher Nolan's making a biopic about, I have no idea, the Golden Girls. I don't know, anything. And people are going to go see it because it's Christopher Nolan. So I'm all in on this. I'm definitely going to check it out. I don't always get to the theater to see these movies. And I'll admit sometimes if a movie's really long, it makes me want to go to the theaters a little less. I don't want to miss anything for bathroom break or whatever. And you know this movie's going to be at least 3.5 hours long.
It's going to be so long. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm definitely interested.
They might release it in parts.
Oh, they could, unless he's unless they've admitted that he's going to be doing more than one. But it's gonna crush, and it's probably gonna win awards because I feel like Christopher Nolan, until he proves us otherwise, just makes really good movies. And even people who didn't like Tenet, I think people would say like that's still probably better than a lot of other people's movies. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So the next, by the way, I have nothing really to add to that. I don't remember the book very well. I'd probably wait to see what the trailer looks like, not to be lame, but like to see, and like you said, like how long is it? But it does seem like that the Odyssey is something you should see on a big screen.
The only thing I'll say is I don't know if I love the cast yet.
It is a little crazy. It's all over the place.
Yeah, like I'm not the I like Matt Damon, but I'm not the hugest fan of his outside of Good Will Hunting. And like Tom Holland and Zendaya in the same movie. And then like he's worked with Anne Hathaway before, he's worked with Robert Pattinson before. I'm not going to question his choices, but we'll see. It remains to be seen. There's a lot of characters in the Odyssey, so these people might not even interact. We don't know, but we know Christopher Nolan's tackling Homer's The Odyssey, so it's pretty wild.
It is, definitely is. Someone else that's tackling beloved characters is James Gunn, who is is someone that is mentioned quite a lot on this podcast, especially in the past few months. Well, rumors are coming around, I believe, by Jeff Snyder again, who's saying, right, that this is from him.
I believe this is from Jeff Snyder.
Yep. He is saying that James Gunn wants Robert Pattinson, who we were just speaking about in the last story, to his Batman to be the DCU Batman. And then Andy Muschietti, who is directing the next DC Batman movie, has talked about it a little bit on a podcast of like what's coming next, where's the movie at, which just raises more questions. So, John, do you think Robert Pattinson is going to be James Gunn's Batman?
I do not. For a bunch of reasons. Like, the first big one, just logically, having just experienced what DC went through with a lot of different voices and cooks in the kitchen and making these knee-jerk reactions to Marvel about what they should do to keep up, and they rushed their Justice League, and Zack Snyder had to bow out because of what happened with his daughter. So then Joss Whedon takes over and makes a stinker. And it's just like, it completely crumbled their entire attempt at building a true DC universe. So now here we go. James Gunn takes over and he's like, we're starting fresh. We're starting over. We're kicking things off with Superman. And then you're going to tell me I'm supposed to believe that, oh, no, though. The Batman that came out a few years ago that was not overseen by James Gunn, that's actually going to be our Batman. So technically that kicked off our DC. There's no chance that's happening. Zero. I don't believe that at all. I know Snyder has gotten a lot of stuff right. I'll admit I do not subscribe to his newsletter, but so I don't know exactly what he said. But I just don't. I mean, that one big reason alone is why I don't think so. And the other ones are more obvious. Like, it's a different universe. Like, that Batman is a very dark, noir, detective, serious, dramatic, brooding Batman. And I know James Gunn said, like, we're going to tackle different aesthetics and stuff that adults can watch and kids can watch. But I just can't see that Batman working with the Superman he's created for us as part of a Justice League. I think it's going to be a completely different Batman. And I'll even go further and say the Machete thing after what happened with the Flash, like hearing his comments, which had to be translated because I think is he Italian? French? I don't know.
Yeah, he says that the Batman film won't be happening for a while and he might make a smaller film before that one happens. I do also want to add that a part of the rumor with the James Gunn Batman thing is that Matt Reeves is resistant to the idea, but it did develop this week into Batman being delayed a year. So Batman 2 with Robert Pattinson has now been delayed a full year to 2027. So a lot of people are raising their eyebrows being like, does that mean that this is happening? Is it being reworked so it makes sense?
Yeah. So James Gunn, as of recording this, so a few days ago on Friday, I believe he tweeted confirming the report, but said the reason is because they don't have a finished script. And then I saw someone point out they're probably adding more of the Penguin in it and Kristen Miliotti's character. Which, why am I forgetting her name? I'm mad that I'm forgetting her name. Sophia, is it?
Which is the Penguin's wife?
Sophia Falcone. No, she's the daughter of Carmine Falcone.
Oh.
So she's like a rival of his in the Penguin.
Oh, okay.
And she was so good. She was a standout. So maybe they're adding both of them to the script and that's what they're doing. But I'm thinking, like, if the Batman, which is Matt Reeves' separate thing, isn't coming out for 2 years, that means they're not going to double up on Batman and have Batman, like, compete with Batman.
No.
So how far out are they going to do the DC Batman away from the Superman movie? Like, people age and you have a certain finite amount of time where, like, David Cornsweet can be Superman and so and so forth. So it's all murky to me. I wasn't surprised about the Batman being delayed. The only thing I find fascinating is the Batman was very successful. I think it made like $780 million. But and it came out like pandemic, like 2021, I think. But I don't know how it's sustained with people in terms of like being a fan of that version because people don't talk about it a lot.
I loved it, and I'm like a Michael Keaton girl. So
I loved it. I loved it too, and I thought Michael Giacchino's score was great. I thought it was a really well-made movie. It's a good watch. It's just an overall really good Batman movie.
Great use of the volume.
Yeah, but the only thing I can wonder is, like, the surprise success of the Penguin, has that fortified this movie's existence? And I'm saying maybe yes. So they're probably making updates to include those characters in it. They've already greenlit another show in this universe. I forget what it was for HBO. So all signs are pointing to it like still going, but I do think it's going to be separate. I don't see how you can take that universe and blend it into what James Gunn's trying to do and then go against everything James Gunn said, which was Superman's kicking off a brand new DC universe. Batman's going to come later. And then you're going to tell me this is the DC Batman and it actually existed. It's actually the first thing we're seeing from the DCU. I don't buy it. I just don't. So I don't know where you're at with it, but
I don't think that it's happening because, like you're saying, I don't think it plays into what the plans James Gunn has. And like you said, the aesthetics are so different that it just doesn't fit. Whereas Zack Snyder and what was done on that kind of timeline, all of those things looked very much the same. It's just like even just the color palette of each movie is so much. I couldn't see them coming together to make a good movie because it would just be kind of either one of them will have to give up what they stand for to make it work, and then they're not good in themselves. I do think Muschietti. I always mess up this guy's name. I think he's being genuine and honest when he says that the movie's not happening anytime soon. I think they're still reworking it and figuring out who's going to be Batman. I strongly believe Glenn Powell will be the Batman eventually because this guy follows him. He followed by James Gunn. It was like all this stuff, and he said he wants to play Batman. And it would make sense that Glenn Powell has all these other projects lined up that if they're not ready to make the movie, he's not ready to make the movie either. But I guess we'll see. What is ready to be made, or should I say has been made, is that this past week Stranger Things 5 wrapped filming, and Millie Bobby Brown, her set speech did release online. Someone had recorded it and posted it, and she said, quote, "I am nowhere near ready to leave you guys. I love each and every one of you, and I'll forever carry the memories and bonds we've created together as a family." And she's in tears, wrapping filming on the final season with the cast and crew of Stranger Things. So big news. It's finished. It's done. Can't wait to see what it is. They've already started advertising it, that it's coming out this year. They put out a big ad this year. Or this past week. What?
They say when?
They didn't, but the big push they're making is the 3 biggest franchises are coming back. They're like Stranger Things, Squid Game, and then what was the last one they said that was coming out this year on Netflix? And it wasn't just it wasn't Squid Game 2. They were promoting Squid Game 3.
Right.
Was this year.
That's coming out in 2025.
So it's Squid Game, Stranger Things.
Too Hot to Handle 30.
No, oh my God, it's going to drive me nuts. Is it Happy Gilmore that they said was coming out?
I mean, it is.
It is, but I can't remember what they had said. It was something like the big stories coming out this year. Oh, I can't remember offhand. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, I'm excited to see it coming to an end. I feel like the kids are now 40 years old at this point. Millie is married. She's not the young little girl she was in the first season. So it is surprising because I know we've talked about Stranger Things before, and specifically comments she's made where she's like, "I'm ready for this to be over." And then here she is being like, "Oh my God, I don't want to leave." And you're like, you've been saying for years that you're like ready to be done with this.
She's like, she's probably like, "Oh, someone was filming that? I'm so embarrassed."
So what are your thoughts about this? Are you surprised that she was very sad, or are you looking forward to what's going to happen with season 3, or not season 3, the final season?
I don't usually I don't really care about these on set speeches or anything. Those don't really matter to me. I love that it's dumb filming. My only problem with Stranger Things is, and I guess a lot of these streaming service television shows, is just there's too much time between seasons, and it's just to the point where like even a show like oh my God, I don't know why I can't think today.
I think the holidays are just really beating us down.
Ozark.
Yeah.
So, it ran from 2017 to 2022. And it's like, even that one was like at least released relatively close. But even that show, like by the time the last season came around, I'm like, oh yeah, that's that character's name or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know if it's the binge model, and which makes it partially my fault, but also I think I'm just used to seeing television shows come out every year. And it's like,
That's
you know,
what we grew up on. It's just
the
different for other
whether
people.
whether they were dramas or sitcoms, it didn't really matter. You were getting that next season, that next year, and if it didn't show up, you'd be like, "Is that show over?" Now it's
And
like,
you're getting 20 something episodes a season.
yeah, or yeah, and if it's like even some of those like dramas, you know, they're hour-long episodes and that sort of thing.
Like Grey's
Like
Anatomy.
the only time a show like that like of a high budget or something would take a year off is if there was a writer's strike or, you know, something like that. Like Sopranos 99 to 06, pretty much seamless, ran right through. You know, I don't know why this is the case. I don't know if it's actors' schedules or if it's the budgets based on calendar. I don't know. Who knows why it takes them so long. That is the only thing I really hope they fix, because Stranger Things came out 9 years ago. It was like 2016, and it caught everyone by surprise. But it's like they're on season 5 of a TV show, and it's gonna end up being like 10 years worth of time.
Oh
And
my
I just think
gosh.
that's skipping way too much time between these seasons. Like Eddie Munson, it feels like he's been in popular culture for decades now.
I
And it's
know. I know.
like it should have been the next year where we, you know, meet these characters again, because like I shouldn't have to go through a rewatch to get reinvested.
And that's what they all push now. They're like, go rewatch it. And it's like, why don't you just do your job quicker?
because they want those numbers. They want to double their numbers. But that's my only thing. I am very excited for season 5. Season 4 was the best in my opinion. So I think it's gonna be one of those shows that goes out with maybe us wanting more, but also feeling satisfied that it's over because it's been such a long journey. And I can understand the actors feeling that way, especially the young actors. So I'm not saying she's wrong to feel excited to move on. You know, so for someone who's 20 years old or however old she is, it's half her life, which when you're that age, time feels longer because you've only
It
had a
does.
certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that. I am very excited for it, though. I have a feeling they're going to go out with a bang. It's going to be awesome. There'll probably be spin-offs and other stuff that they do. I know the Duffer Brothers are signing on for another mystery type of series on Netflix, which I'm going to keep an eye on. But I'm excited for the conclusion of Stranger Things. Just let me know when it's coming out. Is it going to be a end of year, early? Let us know what's going on. But if they just recently finished filming, I'm going to assume it's the later part of 2025.
Yeah. So the third franchise they are kind of putting into TV spots is like these big 3 things are coming back in 2025 with Stranger Things, Squid Game 3, and Wednesday
Oh, yeah. Yep.
was the other
Yep.
thing that they were kind of pushing to come out.
Mhm.
I do want to mention something that had come out this past week as well from people that have spoken to screenwriters that work with Netflix. Screenwriters said that they, quote, announce what they're doing so that they have told screenwriters that in their shows and movies, they have to have characters tell the audience what they're doing because, quote, they have to do it so that viewers who have a background program on can follow along. So Netflix has told people that work with them, like, yeah, you have to be very obvious with what's happening and who's doing what and where, ruin the movie because people will have your program on and not listen. And they also said that they have thousands of micro genres, including, quote, casual viewing, which is used for movies or TV that go down best when you're not paying attention. Which is hilarious because this is a complete juxtaposition to a quote that came out this past week from Denis Villeneuve, who's currently doing Dune, where he said cinema is an act of presence. Whether a painter paints, he has to be absolutely focused on the color he's putting on the canvas. With a filmmaker, you have to do that with a crew, and everybody has to have the focus to be there, or something like that. So it's just funny because you have this guy that makes these incredible things, and he's explaining why he says phones are banned from his film sites, from his filming crews. He's like, look, I want people to be serious. I want people to be present. I don't want people taking pictures of my stuff.
That's, yeah, for sure.
But he also says he wants people to be present and be there. And then you have people like Netflix are saying like, hey, we're leaning into this. People are not paying attention. People don't care. we'd rather you just have us on so that we make money.
That kind of pisses me off. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
It's treating us as like commodities, and I'm not saying like Disney doesn't treat consumers that way, because they do, but it's to just go out and say the quiet part loud. It's like how I feel about how companies operate today, where they're not embarrassed about layoffs anymore, and it's called like business savvy moves now, and it's like
Party City laying off their entire company and closing it like 3 days before Christmas, and they're like, hey, by the way, no severance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer that the worst parts of corporations are now publicly stated and accepted. And this is the same thing. Like, this is how I feel about like the AI stuff, and it's like algorithms are the cousin to AI in this weird way, because they're using numbers and equations and whatever data they have to say, like, this is what they want and this is how they want it, so we're going to do it this way, so they keep it on. Like, they don't actually they don't care about the quality. They're basically saying, we don't care about the quality of this portion of our programming. We are solely doing it so you leave it on, and we get the numbers and the watch views, and that's, I'm sorry, that's bullshit. That's like, they got to get called out for that. It's like, at what point are we gonna at what point is it gonna escalate between AI and all this algorithmic shove down your throat stuff that people like say enough's enough? Like, this is supposed to be art, and it's not being treated that way anymore. And it's really like kind of disappointing that it's just like a flyby story, where to me it's upsetting, because I have Netflix and I like Netflix because of whether it's an old show like Seinfeld I like to binge, or it's a new thing coming out like Squid Game, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. I don't know, I'm not trying to get all serious about it, but it's kind of messed up. They're just like, we know we're putting out content that isn't good, but it's a digestible so that you can put it on while you're folding laundry. It's like,
yeah, it's funny you say that, because our next story plays into this, which is related to James Bond.
oh yeah,
Which James Bond was bought by Amazon. And producer Barbara Broccoli, they say Brenda in this tweet, that is not her name. Her name's Barbara Broccoli. Is very pissed at Amazon currently, and she's been the producer, kind of head person over for James Bond franchise for many, many years. And via the Wall Street Journal said that development has stalled. There's currently no script or story, and Amazon is purely interested in creating spin-off projects. And the thing that made her the most angry, which I've made these jokes before here and on TRB, is that Amazon execs called Bond content, and that and she called them effing idiots, and basically sent the message of, if you don't want to do this for the sake of making a good story, then we're just not going to do it. Because I'm not going to let the legacy of James Bond go down the tubes because you want content. Which is interesting, because this past Christmas season, they had that Red 1 film come out, which I told you I wanted to see, which, by the way, I haven't seen it, with The Rock. It bombed, and it's been playing, I guess, pretty well on Amazon Prime. And Dwayne Johnson put out this tweet being like, see, there are different verticals for this film. Like, there's so many different ways to blah, blah, blah. Corporate speak. And everyone was like, you're viewing your film as a vertical? Like,
I know.
What is happening? So you have two sides of the coin here, where you have someone like Barbara Broccoli who's going like, look, I'm just not going to make these films if you don't want to do it the right way. Like, I'm not taking this legacy and just throwing it away. And then you have people from Amazon, you have The Rock, who's leaning into it, that's saying, well, it's just about spinoffs, making money, verticals, marketing, content. So what are your thoughts, John?
It's messy. So Amazon owns the rights to release James Bond because Amazon acquired MGM.
MGM, which is James Bond, yeah.
But the Broccoli family still retains creative control. They have like ultimate. They still have the ultimate.
Yes or no? The veto power.
Decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an old school, family thing. The Broccoli's have owned James Bond forever now, and now it's Barbara and her brother. What's his name? I feel bad not saying his name. Michael G. Wilson. But yeah, this is the battle. This is right, like a perfect example right here, because like James Bond, like you don't like spinning off James Bond is stupid to me, because I watch James Bond to watch James Bond and watch James Bond do James Bond things. I don't care about, like, what are they gonna do? Like with Batman, which worked, but are they gonna do like an Odd Job series?
I think they're thinking like John Wick.
I know, and it's like I just don't know. And I was wrong about the Penguin. I'll admit that. I didn't think the Penguin was going to be a good series. I thought it was a cash grab to try to like live up to the name of Batman. But with James Bond, I feel like there's already a niche audience for James Bond as it is. Like, did you tell Matt this story? What did he think of it? Because he's a James Bond fan.
He thinks that, which the title of the article from the Wall Street Journal is that, "Where's James Bond trapped in an ugly stalemate with Amazon?" So it makes sense given that nothing's come out, and the handling of James Bond with the last movie was not great, and the pandemic kind of killed it in the movie theater because it didn't come out and it didn't come out and it didn't come out and people forgot about it. His thought in this story is like, kind of, they both suck, because he's like, well, Barbara Broccoli and her family aren't doing a good job, and then Amazon's not doing a good job, so nobody's doing a good job.
Yeah, I'm always gonna side with the
I think he would too. I don't think he's saying like, oh, go Amazon. I think he's saying, look, they both kind of suck, and Broccoli sucks because you should be having a James Bond movie come out every other year, is how he feels. But then now this story's coming out with Amazon that clearly it's not her. It seems like it's Amazon's fault.
Yeah, it's messy, and I don't know how I feel about all these non-creative companies just snatching up these movie studios. Like, I don't know. Like, at least with Disney, it's like Disney started as an entertainment brand. Like, what the hell does Amazon have to do with movies? Like, besides like come watch a movie that someone else made on Amazon. Like,
yeah, they have money. That's literally what it is.
I know, and it's a problem, and it's like that stuff George Lucas was saying like years and years ago. So the bubble has to burst at some point. Whether it's independent people making stuff, I don't know. But these big franchises are just going to keep getting swallowed up, and we'll see. We'll see what happens with Bond. But I love that she called them effing idiots, though. I thought that was great. All right. Is that any other stories?
No, I think we can get into trailers.
All right. It is trailer time.
Oh, God, I love that movie.
Lacey, only one this week that at least we have interest in talking about. Happy Gilmore 2. Done filming. Netflix 2025. First teaser came out. It's short. You get a lot of the familiar beats. You got the Boston Bruins jersey on. Happy has a beard now. We see Shooter McGavin at, I believe that's Chubb's grave. It says Peterson on the gravestone.
That's what I thought it was anyway.
Yeah, and then it looks like he's still with Virginia Bennett from Modern Family. Julie
Bowen, yeah.
Yeah. So the only thing I hated was Travis Kelce. That's all.
I'm not gonna lie. You watched me watch this before we did this, and I went, "Oh, it immediately just feels fake." Like the voice of like, "Hey, Happy," I'm like, "You're no." Although I do appreciate the marketing here, where they say season's greetings and a happy new year.
That is good. That is very good.
Well done. Well done, Netflix.
In the spirit of our last conversation about these algorithms, and it's all about these verticals and all this other crap. Like, I can't help but think Netflix is like, you gotta get Travis in the trailer. Because
I mean, think about Hawk Tuah Girl, where she was getting all these offers to be in movies, and people were rewriting things and saying like, "Hey, we'll completely change the ending of this movie if you show up in it, just for the sake of algorithms and popularity."
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm actually, I know there's cameos in the first Happy Gilmore, of course, but this seems forced for the sake of the popularity of the person. So I didn't like that. Him being in the movie is one thing, which looks like he's an attendant at this country club or something.
A
So
waiter, yeah.
he probably has a very small role, but don't put him in the trailer. Like, we don't need like
They definitely, someone at Netflix goes, you better
Yeah.
put Travis in the trailer.
he needs a line
And they're
in the
like,
trailer
what?
so people see
You should put him
yeah.
in the trailer so that he talks about it on his podcast. All the little Swifties share it. That's literally what it is. And
okay,
it's,
buddy. Okay, buddy.
yeah, it's so obvious. I know that Adam Sandler was on his podcast a couple months ago and said he was in the movie. And he even said how much his daughters love Taylor Swift. So I think there's a personal connection there too. Like he said Taylor helped him get concert tickets and all this. Like, it's so obvious why he's in this
Yeah.
movie. But I agree with you. I'm not sure why he's in the official teaser for Happy Gilmore 2, except to say, look who's in this.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? I was more excited to see Shooter McGavin and Julie Bowen. As someone
Yeah.
that grew up with this movie, it's one of my favorite movies. Like,
My only fear is that Shooter becomes his friend and there's another villain golfer or something. I need Shooter McGavin to be a piece of shit. That's what I need.
it is weird. He's like wearing pajamas in this.
It's yeah. And look, I Happy Gilmore is not to be taken seriously by any stretch of the imagination, but Adam Sandler rarely does sequels to his like big movies. Like at Grown Ups 2 he did, and he did like Murder Mystery 2, but that was for Netflix, so that was probably like him fulfilling that deal. But like there's no Billy Madison or Big Daddy 2 or Waterboy 2 or Wedding Singer 2. He usually doesn't do that. So the fact that he's revisiting Happy Gilmore I think is cool. I'm sure it'll be fun. I still don't know what to expect. I think I need to train myself to expect it's going to be bad because of the history of when you try to make a sequel to a comedy too late, you get Dumb and Dumber 2. And if Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels can't deliver on a sequel, who's to say this Adam Sandler character, Happy Gilmore, can deliver a sequel? So I'm going to go in with very low expectations. Like, I'm going to go in
I would
assuming
too.
Anchorman 2, Dumb and Dumber 2, like a bad sequel. And if I get surprised, I get surprised. But we'll see. It's going to be fun. It's going to be direct from on Netflix. I'll be able to watch it from home. Don't have to worry about going to the theater or anything. So that's good. I will see it when it comes out. I'm not in any rush or anything like that. It's not like it's a Star Wars movie. It's Happy Gilmore. But I'm hoping it's fun. I'm not expecting it to be good, but we'll see. What about you?
Well, he made Hubie Halloween or whatever it was. So
He did make Hubie Halloween.
I see that as like the lowest of low for Adam Sandler. So if it's better than that, I would take this as a win, because I sat through that being like, what is this trash? And I think that also Adam Sandler has been making choices lately, including comedy specials on Netflix and stuff related to money. I think they keep saying, hey, let's throw some money at you. And he goes, okay. So I don't think, this is an award-winning comedy movie or like heartfelt movie. I think it's just, you have to remember what the first one is, which is just like a funny sports movie. I do like that they had the original people come back, but already, at the end of this teaser trailer where him and Shooter are just standing there, they like let the moment hang a little too long for the sake of the trailer. And you're like, this is awkward.
Yeah.
But I'm going to watch it. I love the first one. I'm going to watch it. But yeah, the Travis thing, like it felt like it pulled me immediately out. I was like, ugh. We're at that point now. It's been a year. We're at that point that he's getting old. I don't want to see him anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about him anymore. Show me something new. And just like you, I feel like it's an insult on my intelligence sometimes when these companies keep going after the same people. It's like a prime example of when something is like annoying or not cool anymore is if it shows up on Good Morning America. Like or like morning radio. If something shows up or is mentioned on those things, then it's not cool anymore.
It's over.
It's not hip. It's done. That's what this felt like. I was like, it would have been different if the movie came out and then he was in it, you're like, oh, okay, whatever. But the fact that he's so highlighted in this teaser trailer just annoys me.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Like there was no other moment you could have included, no other shot that would have made people excited. You had to include him.
Well, as much as we're dumping on Netflix right now, we are about to do a different
I'm not
version.
dumping on them. I'm dumping on Travis Kelce.
No, I know. But I'm sure Netflix was very influential in getting him front and center in that 28-second teaser for a
Yes.
sequel to a 30-year-old movie that came out when he was 5.
Yep.
But we are going to get into another Netflix program here, because in What You're Watching this week, we're simply going to be talking about the first episode of season 2 of Squid Game. So let's get after it.
We can never leave the house, and would just probably sit around all weekend and watch TV.
Go on.
All right, you are probably a bigger Squid Game fan than I. But Lacey, before we get into the discussion about it, why don't we talk about giving something away?
Yeah, so we are going to run a contest on social media. The way to enter will be revealed shortly. However, I will tell you what you win. So first up, because we're talking about Squid Game right now and probably for the next few weeks, we're giving you one of these cool red light, green light talking Squid Game dolls that I hunted down months ago. John knows I literally hunted it down. I went to like multiple stores to get it.
It doesn't come with machine guns.
It doesn't come with machine guns, but it does come with a remote control. It has sound effects, eyes light up, its head rotates 180 degrees, and its arms move. So I believe it sings the song, and then you can kill people with it, like its eyes or whatever. And it also is ages 14 plus. So I'm assuming once its eyes turn red, maybe like a gunshot sounds or something. I bought a second one to review it on our channel, so we'll have to check it out. We'll see what it's like. We're also going to give out, with that, we're going to give a Nerdy and Nice t-shirt in your size, whoever wins. And then also 2 of these things, which is from Mini Brands. They're specifically Netflix brands. So they have Stranger Things, Rebel Moon, Squid Game, Emily in Paris, Cobra Kai, Bridgerton, and The Witcher. And they're like little mini things from those shows, like little props, which is really cool. John and I have a couple of these for ourselves that we're going to unbox for the channel as well, but we get to give you guys some of those. So that's what the prizes are. So the contest is #Nerdy4SquidGame. And what you have to do is you have to head over to our podcast, Nerdy and Nice, on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, review it, take a screenshot of your review, and post it on social media with the hashtag #Nerdy4SquidGame, and you're entered. And if you give 2 reviews, you get double the entry. If you give 1 review, that's cool too. And you can post it on either Blue Sky or Twitter or Instagram if you use the hashtag.
Yeah, and I think like leaving a written review is really cool, and we appreciate those, so please do that. But even if you just do the 5 stars, like that, you're in. Just take the screenshot and use that. We do welcome written reviews. We appreciate those. But as long as you rate us with the 5 stars, screenshot, like Lacey said. And do we want to open up that to email too, or do you want to keep it on social?
Just social media.
Social media is best, yeah. Okay. Good luck to everybody. And we'll post reminder details on social media too on how to enter. But Lacey, we got to talk about the return of Squid Game, which somehow, even though it appears the entire season might be out, 7 episodes, you and I, just with life and parenting and all that, but we didn't plan this. You and I both only watched the first episode.
I watched the first episode and the second episode for 15 minutes. However, I realized very quickly, I want to take my time. The last season of this came out before I had children, I believe. I think it came out in 2020, right? Is when it came out. It came out before I had kids. And so I binged the whole thing in like a weekend. So I feel like I obviously really enjoyed it because it's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. But this time I want to take my time with it. And I really want to give a break in between episodes. So I stopped myself to only do the first episode because I wanted to wait a couple days before watching the next one.
Yeah, it came out. You were probably like 7 or 8 months pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like late September 21.
Yeah, I was. I was just about to have a baby. Okay, so then I
Yeah.
was up all night because I was about to have a baby.
um, I'll say this about the first episode. Now, I haven't watched any of the second. You have. I was a little disappointed that I think what I liked about the first one is that we sort of just like jump right into it.
You do.
The first, so I was a little disappointed that there was such an exposition here with this first episode. I still enjoyed the climax for the end and how that went down. But I'm not gonna. I want to see the Squid Game. So I didn't love the first episode, so I'll start there. But I'll kick it over to you since you're the bigger fan. Let me know your thoughts and explain to me why I shouldn't be upset that I didn't get any actual Squid Game on episode 1.
Yeah, so obviously those people watching and listening, this is spoilers. So if you don't want to know spoilers for the first episode, it's been fun. See you back here once you watch it. So Lee Jung-jae's back. Ji-hoon, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I watch it with subtitles, so he is back. They do a nice summary at the beginning before the episode airs. This is 2 years later from the original first season of Squid Game, or the games that he won. And I think I agree with you. The pacing of the episode is slower. It takes time. It builds. It builds. It builds. It shows you the length to which his character goes to try to figure out who's behind all of this, because that's the big question, is they want to bring these games to an end, because at the end of the day, whether people are doing it voluntarily, they're trapping people, whatever, like, you can't just go around murdering people. That can't be a thing.
No.
And there's a lot of interesting things at play here. They introduce the cop again, who we see in the first season, whose brother is the main kind of game maker guy. And I remember the first season, I was like, oh my God, he shot him in the shoulder. Clearly he's not dead, because that's such like a not dead thing in movies. Like, oh, my shoulder. And like, he's fine. Unless you get shot in the head, it's like people always survive. So he wakes up from a coma. He's a traffic cop. He's given up being a cop because he feels like he can't solve the mystery, and he's still stuck on his brother being this guy that shot him and then also in charge of these terrible things. And it seems like the games themselves, even though he's the winner, Lee Jung-jae's character is very much stuck in the what were the repercussions of me winning? I won all this money, but what did I really win? What did I really do? And what he learns from the old man in the first one, which is Oil Nam is the guy's name. What he learns from him in the first one is that he created the games for his clients, and that these clients are kind of running what's going on. And we see them in the first season. We have that like Texan oil guy. It's just so weird. It felt very much like, I said, Hunger Games. You have these rich people that are kind of running the whole game. But I think there's a lot of interesting moments, and this episode in particular puts a spotlight on Lee Jung-jae's character, of how he's preparing for what's next and how he's changed in 2 years from winning. Because when we first meet him in season 1, he's this guy that's betting all the time, that's getting beat up, that's really just a failure of a father.
He's a gambling addict. Yeah.
And then here we are in season 2, already seeing him. He took care of that girl's daughter from son from the first, or not son, sorry, brother from the first season, and gave it to the mom of the guy he killed as like a, hey, I killed your son, but here's a new son. And you see him kind of helping people and paying money to people and kind of helping his community, but then also knowing ultimately he needs to shut this thing down. I think this first episode has set the levels of gore very high and violence. Like, they're not pulling any punches, so to speak, of
right.
we're going to show you exactly what happens to these people. We're going to show you how bad these people are.
Mhm.
Like with the tracker, where he has the tracker behind his ear and he cuts it out and he's like standing in that bathroom naked. And the little
Yeah.
kid walks in and he's like, "Can you just give me a few minutes?" And the kid's like, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure."
Right. Yeah. Oh,
Um,
did we know that they had that in them, or is that a new reveal that they had trackers in them, or?
so I think they show a clip of it or they hint at it in season 1 that when they're passed out, they put a tracker in them so they can watch them.
Yeah.
And then it also helps them track, I think, their body, like heart rate, stuff like that. Like when they're on the screens, they show all these like different health monitoring things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's how they do that as well. It's not surprising that someone wins that game and they're tracking them. I mean, it's basically like signing an NDA. Like you you did this crazy thing. You killed a bunch of people. Don't leave here and tell anybody because we will come find you and kill you. We know where you are at all times. And that's why at the beginning of the episode, they're like, get on the plane, don't ask questions. And then the guy's like, nah, I'm not getting on the plane. And so he dyed his hair like this bright red to be different and so that they wouldn't know it was him. And then they knew it was him anyway because he had the tracker in his ear. So
Right.
then he dyes his hair back because he's like, well, now the tracker's out. I need to blend back in so I can figure
Yeah.
this out. This episode gives us a deeper look into the salesman, who's played by Gong Yu, who's known for his role in Train to Busan, which was ultimately remade here in America. But it's a big hit over, not just here, but obviously in Korea. It was a zombie movie.
Yeah.
He seemed so calm in the first
Mm.
season and like just like weird, but like pleasant. Man, does he take a turn here. What did you think of him? He was insane.
Yeah. I did. Yeah. There were parts of this episode that I thought were the standouts, and to me was him going in and buying up all the bread and then all the scratch off tickets and using that as the choice to prove the greedy people who are starving but they want to take big risks. And he's like, all right, here, I got you. That was all very interesting to me. And then him stomping on all the bread to be
Because
like,
they're animals. He sees them as animals, trash.
yeah. So I thought that was very interesting. And then the end, of course, the Russian roulette, I thought was I don't know, very reminiscent of like Deer Hunter. I thought it was a very intense scene. Anytime a movie introduces a Russian roulette, you're like, oh man, because at any
Both
moment,
Russian. There were 2 Russian roulette scenes.
yeah. But the final one, it was stressful, but I knew that guy was gonna die because I'm like, well, Song Gi-hun is not dying. Lee Jung-jae's character is not dying.
Right, because he's in the show. Yes.
Pretty sure he's also going to be in season 3, so he's probably not dying at all in this season, unless they do flashbacks or whatever, which is very popular now. But I do agree. He's so devoted to the idea of the game, knowing his odds, and he still pulled the trigger and killed himself. So it's just like,
I think it's
crazy.
also a statement that no matter who people think they are, and if that they're above other people, like, oh, you are all trash. You're just trash. He's trash too. He's a
Yeah.
dog, just like, Lee Jung-jae's character said he was. He's like, at the end of the day, I might be trash, but you're a dog that does exactly what they tell you to do when to do it. So he was trying to be like, no, I'm not. And it's like, okay, at what cost? You just killed yourself.
Yeah, Squid Game is interesting because I think what drew people to it initially was the simplicity of listen to the situation these people are in. And I remember being like, oh, I want to watch that. But also, it's this really big just commentary on the economic structure of society and stuff. And
Capitalism specifically, yeah.
yeah, and just, how people are feeling it. And I think it's it's a novelty show, so much so that they made a reality version of it, but at the same time it is saying a lot. So it's like two ends of the spectrum, and it comes together. And but I'll admit, I want to see the games. I want to see them in there. I want to get after it and see what the challenges they have to do, and I want to see them work their way through it. And that's the most interesting part to me. Like, I don't know if he's gonna get the final guy and end the game and stuff. Just get me to the games. I want to see what they came up with, honestly. And I know that's very surface, but that's the big draw for me. So I can't wait to start that. Now let me ask you, like, have they started the games?
No.
That's a problem.
It's not, though, because for me, they're taking more time with other characters in the show that's going to make you care more. Like, what do you think about the girl that was about to get an abortion that decided not to, and she's going into the games instead?
Yep.
Like, that's wild that someone's pregnant and they're going into that they feel that desperate.
Yeah.
That they're going to sacrifice their life and their potential child's life to go into these games.
Yep. No, I understand. And I thought it was interesting how they recruited people, and just seeing the greed on people's faces. Even when you have nothing, people are still willing to risk. And it's like, that's true. That's real. That's real. That happens in real life. So I do like the show. I'm excited for it to really get rolling. The end definitely saved the episode overall for me.
Lee Jung-jae acted
he's great. He's
way
great. Yeah.
Oh my God. The shot of him up close where he's telling him he's a dog and like, I might have won, but you don't know what I'm going through and all these other things. Like, just electric on the screen. And it just makes me cry for the Acolyte because he's just so talented. And I feel like we really didn't get to see him do his thing.
Oh, yeah.
They wasted him.
Yeah.
He's just so good. He's so good. And I can't stress enough. I always say this. Please, please, please watch it with subtitles. Watch the actors do their thing in their own language.
Oh, that's another thing I wanted to bring up. So my default, and I don't know if it was programmed for that show or not or whatever, but my default when I started playing it was dubbed. And
hate that.
And I was like, what? And so I immediately changed it and like restarted it because I didn't want to miss any lines on how they were delivered. But so yeah, I just like make sure you get it on however you want to watch it. I understand if people want to watch the dub version, I totally get that. If you're like a doom scroller while you're watching TV or something, but
they're using AI now to do the dub. Netflix. It was going viral online that someone was watching a show in Norwegian and then they switched it to English and the person was speaking English, but they used technology to change the person's lips on screen to match the English words.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the voice was AI.
No, the voice is an English person, but they took the mouth and they mimicked what the words were with AI. And so then the person looked up like what Netflix does with AI and they said like we use AI to do this with. So yeah, it's just insane.
Lee Jung-jae is not the dubbed voice either. That someone else is playing him. So you don't even get to hear his voice if you do the dub version.
Well, because he doesn't speak English. He learned English just for Star Wars. Yeah, but he learned specific lines for that.
I understand.
You can't speak fluently.
I'm just saying it would have been cool if you heard his voice on.
Yeah, no.
But no.
I want to watch him speak Korean. They're in Korea. Like,
that's how I'm watching it. Yeah.
It's like Star Wars with the alien thing, with the basic thing that I always say. Like, I want to see the aliens speak their language.
But I'm not going to judge if people want to watch it dubbed.
That's fine. I'm just saying there's something missed with the acting when you're not watching it in its native language.
Tone and delivery, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's hopefully a good ride. I know the viewership's not going to be an issue. It's going to be watched by billions of minutes and all that stuff. So it's just going to be a matter of if it's good. So hopefully the games are fun and there's suspense and all that we felt in that first season. And it's not too different from the first season because it has 4 times the budget. Because sometimes when you have all your resources, you're not as creative. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. But I'm glad it's back and look forward to watching more.
I think that also impacted you seeing more stuff outside the games because they were able to shoot on location. When you have
Yeah,
a
that's
budget and
true.
it's very small, they're like, "Hey, we spent all this money building this arena. You're shooting a lot in this
We're
arena."
staying in the warehouse.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts on the return?
No, I'm so hyped. I can't wait to see where it goes from here. And there are
Yeah,
new
me too.
games because all the actors have already said there is.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't mind them doing cutting the cookie and stuff, but you got to see some new stuff. I can only see people, hundreds of people licking a wafer for 15 minutes for so long. But no, yeah, Squid Game's back. Let us know what you think if you watched it. As of now anyway, we're planning to go episode by episode. We'll let you know if that changes. But also keep an eye out for more details on the giveaway contest. But like Lacey said, nerdy for Squid Game is the hashtag, and all you have to do is go to Apple or Spotify, rate us, hopefully 5 stars. You're not going to win if you don't give us 5 stars. Let's just put that out there. You're just not going to win.
Stop. This is our own version of Squid Game.
So to that one person who tanked us, you have a chance of redemption, pal.
Someone tanked us? Oh, that's not nice.
Well, I say anything below a 5 is a tank. So,
Hmm.
but jokes aside, good luck. Enter the contest. Rate us. Send us a screenshot on Blue Sky or X at TRB Podcast or Instagram, and someone will go home with some cool stuff.
Mhm.
All right, but that's it. So we want to thank everybody for listening and watching and getting nerdy with us, because Mondays are for the nerds. And we hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. This is our last episode of 2024. So we're excited for our first full calendar year with Nerdy and Nice. We hope you've been enjoying the show. Please let us know what you think of the show, whether you're a TRB stalwart or you're somebody who's just stumbled upon Nerdy and Nice. We always want to get feedback because we're constantly coming up with new segments, ideas. Obviously, we're starting a giveaway. We have ideas for guests. So we're just getting started with this show. And we want to thank everybody for giving us an opportunity to do it, including our patrons over on patreon.com/TRB podcasts. Support there is a huge way to support our podcasts. We can't overstate that. So if you are able to support us, tiers start at $5. We have a lot of bonus stuff that we do over there that it's exclusive just to Patreon, and a lot of new ideas coming for 2025 as well, including potentially watch-alongs, maybe the first one being Labyrinth. We'll see.
We have to do Labyrinth. It has to be that. You have to. Yep, it's that. We're just deciding on a day.
We will do that. We'll do our Labyrinth as our first watch-along, exclusive on Patreon. So hop over there. We have a Discord server, tiers 3 and up. It's a good time. The community's great. So any support is really appreciated. Patreon.com/TRB podcasts. Have to give a special shout out to the Movie Star Generals and Silver Screen Spice Runners on Patreon before we plug other things.
Mhm.
The Generals: Carmelo, John Risi, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Rumore, Brennan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Colin Cormier, Stephen Garrow, Sachi, and Darth Snips. And the Spice Runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gelner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and THEFORTWORTHIAN. And anybody, however you support Nerdy, Nice, and TRB, thank you so much. But yeah, Lacey's going to pop it up. TRBpodcasts.com. The new merch is here. You're picking it up. Thank you all so much who's been buying Nerdy and Nice stuff, TRB stuff, Galactic Goonies. Post your photos. If you have new stuff, tweet it, Blue Sky it, tag us in it. We want to see it. I just got our stuff, and I'm not kidding when I say this is the best stuff we've ever had made. Like
100%.
No question about it. I got the Galactic Goonies shirt on. I probably got to re-up and get a new Make Solo 2 Happen t-shirt with this quality.
Those are coming soon. I know people have been asking.
People have been requesting for that. But and Lacey did a great job, obviously, with the design on the site. So we are very excited about it. We're very happy about it. But don't forget, trbpodcast.com is not just going to be our merch site. It is also going to be our site, and we're continuing to build that out. There might be some writing happening in the future. There might be some other stuff, but you can also get links. You can watch the show directly on there. You can also get links to the podcast. So trbpodcast.com is a nice one-stop shop that's also a shop.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know if you had anything to add on that, but
I don't necessarily. I'm just so thankful that you guys have been listening. You've been supporting us for so many years, and this is a new thing for us. This show, the merchandise, the new website, and it's like every time we take a step in a new direction, you guys are right there being like, "You could do this," and it just means a lot. Again, I'm just so excited for what's to come, and there's so many big things happening this year. Like we're going to Japan for TRB. We're already looking into maybe doing like nerdier stuff there that has nothing to do with Star Wars. So we'll see what that means. We'll look into it.
we will look into it.
But there's plenty of pop culture things outside of Star Wars in Japan. So yeah, it should be a good time. We're going to Disney, so we're gonna shoot some content there, I'm sure, and talk about the food there and the rides, and it's just really exciting. I'm so pumped to go to Disney Springs. I'm like really, really excited.
It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, just got to get through that flight.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. So for me, social media, Johnny Hoey on Blue Sky and X. Lacey, of course, Lacey Gilleran.
Mhm.
And do you still TikTok? Do personal TikTok?
At It's Lacey Gilleran. Yep.
Right. All right. And yeah, thanks again, everybody. Happy New Year. We're so excited. We'll be back next week with another round of Nerdy and Nice for you. Star Wars fans, Resistance broadcast fans will be coming at you on New Year's Day. So take your Advil, whatever you got to do. It's not going to be till nighttime, but we'll be joined by Xanthi from Star Wars Music Minute, who's going to talk with us about Skeleton Crew episode 6. So if you're a Star Wars fan, hopefully you are already dialed into Galactic Goonies, but that's going to be live Wednesday night, 8:30 East. But beyond that, just hope everyone's doing well. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for supporting us this year. We're hoping for an even bigger and better and more fun year in 2025 for TRB and what we have going on. So thank you for allowing us to do what we do, and we'll see you on the other side of the calendar. So until next time, we'll see you around, kids.